Hi there, everybody, and welcome to our aerial class. We're going to get started with a quick warm-up. First thing I want to check in with is how is everybody feeling? Do we have any aches, any pains, any soreness, any previous injuries? No, fabulous. Please make sure that if you are feeling a little weird anywhere, that you mention it before we start next class. That way we can kind of incorporate it into our warm-up so that we all are feeling great. So first thing we're going to get started with is a little bit of balance work. We're going to have one leg straight, taking the weight to start. And then with our other leg, we're going to reach forward. So I have my right leg behind, my left leg in front. I'm going to bend that knee to a nice wide open angle. We're not sinking all the way down. Our back heel should be flat. We're going to let our arms swing as needed and giving a slight contract as we go forward. And then we push off that standing leg to find our balance at the top. Little contract, open back up. If you feel yourself falling forward, give a little extra force. And if you feel yourself falling backwards, maybe a little less. So we're going to go for 5, forward, forward, side, back, and then we'll reverse it, forward, side, back. Let's get to it. 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Rotating to the side, right leg stays straight, left leg bends. We go up for 5, 4. Try to find the balance on that square foot at the top. 2, and 1. Plant, rotate, straight, bent, push back, balance at the top for 5, 4, 3. Ooh, this one's a little tricky for me today. Squaring up those hips, find the balance. And 1 more for good luck. Woo! And then we switch it out. So our back leg's going to stay straight this time. Front leg bends, push forward for 5. And I meant to say push backwards on that forward leg. 4, 3. Balance isn't always going to be perfect. 2. So just recognize 1, where you are at. Turning to the side, sinking in for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Rotating one last time. Bam! Pushing off that back leg to come forward for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Release it. Give everything a nice little wiggle. And let's start working into those shoulders. We're going to rotate just the shoulders up, back, and around. Little circles. Trying to reach the shoulders up next to those ears. And really feeling them rooting into your back as we work through that upper back. Let's bring it into the elbows. Elbows circle back. Breathing deep. One more set. And then we work into our straight arms up and back. Oh, big breath in. 2 more. Last one. And now we reverse it. We're going to go forward, starting back with those shoulders. Really try to squeeze the shoulder blades together as they come forward, reaching them back as they go back. Let's bring it into the elbows. Same thing as the elbows come forward. We're reaching the tips of those elbows together in order to stretch out through our scapula or our shoulder blades. Breathe deep. 2, and 1. Heading into straight arms all the way up and around. Breathing deep. Working through that big little rotation. And arms come all the way up to stop. We're going to roll out through those wrists. Now I'm being cut off just a little, so I'm going to come down to a kneeling position so you can see me better. But please make sure standing up, weight evenly distributed. We're going to have our arms up nice and straight. We're going to start with that right arm, reaching it up, try to pull the shoulder up next to the ear, and then reversing it out. I always like to imagine that I'm reaching for the cookies on top of the refrigerator. Why are they up so high? From here, we're going to let the shoulders sink down, arms stay high. Now we're going to do what I like to call a little bit of a brain breaker. So we're going to take our right arm forward and our left arm backwards. Right arm forward, left arm backwards. If that feels comfortable, you're going to do both at the same time. And from standing, you may even find that you enjoy a little bend in the knees as we twist and rotate. If you notice your arms are chasing one another, they're not going in opposite directions. They should only meet at the top and at the bottom of the rotation. If it does just feel a little too intense on the mind today, feel free to stick with one arm and then the second arm. Let's go for 2 more rotations. And then we're going to switch it out. So now our right arm goes backwards, left arm goes forwards. Here we go for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Take those arms wide, little circles, little toss forward and back, switching the arm on top. And when you're ready, we're going to take our right arm, pull it across, shoulder reaches down and into the back. And of course, breathing deep. If you're not sure whether your shoulder is reaching down or not, feel free to let it float up for a moment and then push it back down into place. Roll out that wrist on our last deep breath. And then we're going to do our little toss open again to switch sides. Shoulder reaches down and into the back. Again, if you're not sure if that's happening, really relax and let it float up, and then root it back down. Big breath in. And on our last breath, roll out through that wrist. And just so you can see me better for this next part, I'm going to come back to kneeling. Feel free to stay standing. We're going to grab that elbow, bring it up and behind, reaching in between those shoulder blades as we do. Things to watch out for here is I can tell within my own body when I grab, I'm arching out through that rib cage and sticking out my butt. We don't want to do all that. So make sure that as you're grabbing that elbow, reaching in between those shoulder blades, you can always start with an arch and then tuck it under to keep everything in line. Same with our shoulder. If you're not sure if you're doing something, try to push into it just for a moment and then squeeze it all back into place. As this starts to feel more comfortable and you want to deepen this little stretch, feel free to reach up through the head or look for the eyebrows just to let yourself press against that arm without sinking into our arch. When you're ready, release that arm, give it a nice little shake out, and then we do the other side. Grab the elbow, reach it in between the shoulder blades as much as possible, lift up through the head, keeping the ribs together, breathing deep. I'm going to rise back up to standing for our next part. And as you finish that breath, roll out the wrists as they come down. We're going to take our feet just a little bit wider than our hips, slight bend in the knees, hands come next to our head. For this next part, we don't want to add in any twists just yet. We want to imagine we're between 2 planes of glass and we can only go left and we can only go right. For our little side crunches, again, only go as far as your body can control. So if you start to notice the hip dipping back just to get a little further, you're compromising your body shape in order to get your arm lower? No, no, no. We want to make sure we're listening to that body and only going as far as we can control. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bring it all the way up. Little arch through the spine as the arms go wide. Rise it back up to a little tuck and round. One more time, big arch, little round. And this time as we arch, we're gonna bend the knees, melt it all the way down to the floor, letting the hands find the floor in front of you in this nice wide-legged stance, often called in dance terms, nice wide second position. If you are unable to get your hands to the floor, That's why we have plenty of blocks in the studio to rise it up. You're also welcome to keep those knees a little softer in the bend. We don't want to be locked out and straight, so always feel like you can give those knees a soft shake to make sure you're not locked out. From here, we're just going to take a few deep breaths in this bottom stretch, looking for the wall behind you. And when you're ready, we're going to grab opposite elbows, softly bend to one knee, and then to the other, shaking the torso out and firing up more through those legs. And again, you do not have to be as low as I am. Just make sure you're listening to your spine. We don't want to be rounded in this position. We always want to be as flat through the spine as possible. And when you're ready, we're going to walk it over to our right leg. Grab that right leg. See if you're able to get your forearm behind the calf. If you're not, that's okay. And when you're ready, we bring it over to the other side. Arm behind the calf if you are able to. If not, just try to reach with that straight spine, soft bend in the legs towards that leg. Now, I know I'm doing a little bit of mirroring for you, so make sure you listen to my words. We're going to do our left leg, rotating towards our left leg. We're going to come into a high runner's lunge. So let the hands go on either side of the front leg. Heel is reaching back. We're trying to keep our leg as straight as possible. And then with that front leg, we want to make sure our knee is over our ankle, not pressing over our toes. If this is feeling comfortable, you are welcome to bring your hands to your knees and rise up. Make sure you're also listening to those hips, though. We don't want to open out. We want to keep the hips pointed forward, almost like headlights in a car. We don't want to be pointing towards the side of the road. We want to be looking straight ahead of us. We're here for 2 deep breaths. Keep that heel reaching back. Try to rise up through the crown of the head. And when you're ready, hands are going to come down. Slowly straighten that front leg, flex and point the toes. As we go through this motion, try to keep not only the front leg straight as comfortably as you are able to, remember to grab our blocks as needed in order to raise our chest up. Now, the reason we also want our blocks as needed is we don't want to round through our spine. So really try to keep it as flat as possible. Always think about trying to drop through the head, drop through the heart. Breathing deep. And on your next point, we're going to shift our weight forward. Slowly tuck those back toes. Raise the hips up. Rotate to the side. And then slowly sink back down. If you're able, try to get that heel flat to the floor. If you're not able, either with your hands or with the blocks, raise your hips up higher. Again, focusing on that straight spine. When you're ready, either with hands down or hands up, we're going to rotate left and right, switching sides, breathing deep. We're going to go for one more set. And hands come to the other leg, tuck the back toes. Front leg is at a nice 90-degree angle. You can always think about knee over ankle if you can't quite see the angle of your leg. Heel is reaching back, hips are pointed forward, and you are more than welcome to stay in this position if it feels as challenging as you want it to be. Otherwise, we're going to bring our hands up to our knees, lift up through that through the chest. I am so tongue-tied today. Thank you for hanging out with me. Hips are pointing forward to the road ahead and to all our goals. Breathing deep. And when you're ready, hands come down for support. Drop the back knee nice and slowly, keeping the toes tucked. We're going to slowly straighten that front leg, flex the foot, and then work through our point. Again, making sure that spine is straight as we go through these motions. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Now from here, however you want to do it, we're going to make our way onto our butts. I like to do a little twirl to get there. However you make it is however you get there. So from here, we're going to slowly head into those abs. Bring your knees together. Big breath in, sitting up nice and tall, holding onto your knees. Make sure they are squeezing together. And then round through the spine, looking for the belly button. Big arch up. You can even, to start, you can think about overarching and lifting that chest. Find your neutral straight. And then round one more time through those positions. Nice and straight. Over, arch as you drop the chest forward and find back to that neutral position. So from here, we're going to fire up into those abs. We have our mild, medium, and spicy options. So mild, the one that's going to be most comfortable for everybody, is either feet flat or up onto those tippy toes. We just want to make sure most of our weight is in our hips and always straight back, squeezing the knees together like you have a $100 bill there. No one's going to take it away. Medium spicy is we're going to bring our knees up to a tabletop position. Again, nice straight spine. Try not to sink back. And if you're going for full spicy mode, you're going to keep the legs straight the entire time. Now, for me and my body today, we're quite pleased with medium. If you find you're on an uneven part of the floor or in the middle part of a mat, feel free to adjust so that you're in your comfort level. We're going to bring opposite elbow to knee and switch for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Feet come flat, hands go behind the legs, roll down through that spine. We're going to let our left leg come straight up. Right arm reaches overhead. We're going to start by reaching opposite arm, so right arm to left leg. And then as we open back out, we don't want to relax. We kind of want to find this half hollow body position. So our belly button's pressing into the floor and our leg is reaching out straight. We tap for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Gently switch it out. Make sure you take a moment to let your shoulders relax and let your head relax before we head over to the other side. Top foot can either be pointed or flexed. We just want to have some activation through that joint. Here we go for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Slowly let those feet find the floor. Give everything one last little wiggle out. Pull the knees into the chest. We're going to start with a little rock forward and backwards, and then we're going to use a little bit of momentum to come up to seated. Feel free to take 2 or 3 rolls if your spine really enjoyed that motion. And then we're going to head into our straddle shape. Give a little wiggle out through those through that torso as we reach up through the crown of our head. We're going to fire up through our psoas and our hip flexors next. You are welcome to do this in your comfortable straddle. And what I mean by comfortable straddle is we shouldn't be pushing into that full split. Just a position where our legs is as wide as they can be without feeling a giant stretch. Just a comfortable V position. So for this next hip flexor, psoas engagement, never get tongue-tied. You can either go from a half butterfly with your knee or your foot pulled into your body, or you can stay in your straddle. We're going to start with our left leg. I'm going to demonstrate on the first side with my leg bent in, and then on the other side, I'll do both legs straight. Slight twist through the torso. My arms come to either side of my leg. I raise that leg up for 5, 4, keep the spine straight, 3, 2, and 1. Gently switch it out for 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. One last little wiggle out through that torso. We're going to come into our teddy bear position. So spine is straight, feet are activated, and we're just going to wiggle out left and right, left and right. Reaching one arm overhead as we go, still trying to keep the strength through our midsection as we just open up deeper and deeper through that side body. Little twist. Again, straight spine. Arms can stay wide or overhead. Just make sure that opposite hip isn't lifting up. We want to keep it planted for now. And when you're ready, rise it all the way up. And let's get to flying. Thank you so much for joining me for this warm up. Till next time.